Can we guess what time? You probably can't actually because I have the actual case on, so you can't see the normal back of this. But yes, it is TBR time. With the power of iPad, we can do it. As per normal, there are 2 book club picks. But it's things have happened. And then there's also the 9 books for vlogs. So there's 11 books, 2 of which I have physically. Thankfully, at least I have some. You know, less editing for me in that case. But basically, I'm just gonna go run down. Some of them I know things about, some of them I don't. So, like, I'll say what I can about some of them. One of them, I don't know if it's official book yet. That's one of the book club ones. I'll explain when I get to it. That's, like, the second one I'll talk about. And then after that, I'll go through the ones for vlogs. And, yeah, it's pretty simple. It's pretty simple. I'm going simple here today. Now, normally I have like 3, 4 now book clubs I read in, and normally I try to pick only 2 for each month, but I've kind of like for the most part left one unless if like a book comes up that I really want to read. I don't plan to read for that one anymore. And then for one, I'll explain a second for the second book club book, but for the other 2 I tend to apparently switch them off, apparently, at least for this month, because for October, I didn't want to read the one that I'm going to read for in November, and so I read the one for the other book club, but that one, the book they chose was The Butterfly Garden, which, if you don't know, I read in May for my butterfly reading vlog. And I thought like maybe I could read the sequel, but like I was thinking about it, really actually don't want to read it. From what I understand, for people who even like the first one, they don't like the second one, so they're like no. So I decided to not do that one, and instead doing just House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson for one of the book clubs. What do I know about this? I'm pretty sure it's kind of short. It's got vampires, it's gothic, horror, and I'm down. Like, it's the vibe I'm in. Like, when I think horror and mystery thrillers that I want to read right now, that's kind of like in the vibe that I'm in. So, yeah. Excited for that one. I don't really know anything else about it. And then the second book is the book for the unofficial book club. That's not the actual name for it, because I'm pretty sure someone else actually has a book club called that, but that's like what we call it. HDN and I, we all pick a book and read together. I didn't even mention it in the October TBR, even though I am like reading the book for that. And normally we do a spin the wheel thing, and I think the book Piranzi, is that how you pronounce it? The one with the goat man playing an instrument on columns, something about a labyrinth, I don't know. That one was brought up. I don't know if that's the official pick for it. If it's not, it's fine, but there will be a book for that book club that I will be reading. So either way, that's 2 books for book clubs. And then we go into the ones for vlogs, which is easier. Of course, the first one is the one for the weekend reading vlog, which is Spirit Bound. Yeah, that's this one. The 5th book in the Vampire Academy series. I've been going through them. The first one I read for other vlogs, but after that I started going through the whole entire series, reading one a month for weekend reading vlogs, and magically timed it perfectly, so I'll finish this series finally. I've had them since like 2015 or something. I don't know. I remember buying them in high school. But I'll finally have finished the series by the end of this year because the last one is in December. And this is book 5. The furthest I have gone before this month, was book 3, and I obviously read book 4 for October. So like now I get to go to book 5. I'm very interested. I don't care as much about the romance in the series. I'm really hoping we get more of Rose and Lissa friendship, because it kind of went downhill in books 2 and 3, but at the end of book 4 some things happened, And I'm hoping we get some friendship. Also, I just want Abe. If you haven't seen that vlog, that is very confusing, but that's fine. And of course, I'll put the playlist of all the weekend reading vlogs both up above and in the description, as I normally do. And then after that is the 3-book vlog, which is Second Chances. There's like a mini video series I'm doing. The first part was in September, where I read books that I previously DNF'd and I thought I would like. And now I'm doing ones for authors, giving authors a second chance. Well, kind of one of them's a third chance technically, but it'll make sense. Basically, these are authors whose books I've read previously at least once before, and I rated them 1 or 2 stars, and didn't have a good time. Like, if I had DNF'd more regularly back then, definitely would have DNF'd them. And so now I'm giving them a second chance, and chose books by them that seem most likely to be my type of thing, and hope I have a good time. The first one being The Hunter by L.J. Shen. Do I honestly know anything about this? No. I just remember seeing it for free on Kindle. I think it was shortly after I read the one book by L.J. Shen that I didn't like. Listen, the 2 romances, I mix them up sometimes. So am I looking up on my computer right now? Yes, because I have a document. We love me and my organization. Okay, that was Pretty Reckless. That was the 1-star one. Ooh. But yeah, I think it was shortly after read Pretty Reckless, and I didn't recognize it was the same author, but like I'd recognized seeing the cover and liking it based off the description, and then I realized, oh, same author. So I might as well read it, because technically I do own it. Even if I didn't technically spend any money when buying it, I still technically own it. So, you know, that's the fun time we're living with. From my understanding of Yes Me, just looking at the synopsis, basically the main character, I think his name's Hunter, if I can read, yes, is kind of like a playboy, and his dad's not all about it. So basically he hires some woman, I think who goes to the same college as him, maybe named Sailor, to basically babysit him. She calls herself a nanny, to basically make sure he doesn't do his normal stuff, and I don't know why, I don't know where, and somehow they end up together. But it seemed like my speed when I put it on my want to read shelf, however long ago that was. So, you know, that's fun, I guess. The second book for that vlog is Made of Steel by Ivy Smoke. The original one I read by her was Temptation. Don't ask me what that one was. I barely remember. I remember I spicy dancing in his car, and then like the creepy guy who had been following her catching them, but he was her professor, I think. I don't know, honestly. Don't know. This is another one that like I got for free, I think like maybe a week before I read Temptation, and then I was like, oh no. And I had seen Ivy Smoke's name like everywhere around that time. And apparently Made of Steel is a dark romance, so I'm scared for myself. But basically, that one, Made of Steel, I mean, is about a woman who goes into the witness protection program, and her great love was like the boy next door when she was a kid and whatnot. And then the new place she moves into down the hall is that neighbor guy, who she doesn't think recognizes her, but in actuality, according to the synopsis, he does recognize her, and he's like, I will have her one way or another. And I'm like, oh no, oh no. Sometimes dark romance, I can get into it, sometimes I cannot, so it will be a real test, fam. It will be a real test. And then the third one, the one that honestly intrigues me the most based off the synopsis that I just reread, is 3 Dark Crimes by Kendare Blake. The original, technically I read 2 books by her previously, but it was a duology. I read them in like a week, so I'm counting it as one, counting this as her second chance. I honestly do not know why I read the second one, but I rated both of the Anna Dress in Blood books 2 stars. I think that was in 2020. And I didn't realize Three Dark Crowns, of course, was the same person. I don't actually own this one, which is surprising. But the synopsis still intrigues me, so I'm gonna go in and hope for the best. Basically, it actually sounds very interesting. But it is a YA fantasy, so we'll see, because those are kind of hit and miss more with me now. But basically, it's about three sisters who are born princesses, triplets, born at the same time. And so in order to figure out which one's the queen, they have to fight to the death. And each of them have different magical powers. Like one of them's like poison. I don't remember what the other two were. But, you know, one of them's a naturalist, I think. But yeah, that one sounds actually very interesting. So I'm down to have a good time. And then we're going back into the monochromatic reading book series. This time with Orange. It was originally supposed to be in October, but then Dion hijacked October, and we love her for that. And the first one for that is The Bookish Life of Nina Hill. Don't remember the synopsis of that one. I own it. Like, should I have done research beforehand and like looked up the synopsis of some of these? Yes. I don't think I ever even read the synopsis of this book before, because it doesn't even sound like familiar. That's the word I'm looking for. And yet, I know I own it. I know it's on my Kindle. We're not gonna question me. Basically, Nina is a bookworm. She likes books. She likes reading. She grew up with a single mom, all that fun stuff. And then her dad dies, and it turns out like she has a giant family that she never knew about. Like she never knew her dad, so like it's this whole big thing that she doesn't want to deal with. And then her trivia nemesis, I think that's like the romance in it. Her trivia romance is an enemy to lovers, because they're nemesis. It's her trivia nemesis. But basically the whole entire book's about her having to leave her shell and be more out there, even though she doesn't want to be. You know, I get that. I think the rest of these, for the most part, after this one, I'm not gonna go too much in, because I don't know much about them, and I don't want to get spoiled, because I know some of them are more fantasy based, and I try not to get spoiled for those. So the next one would be People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. No, I have not read this yet. I don't listen. If you know something about me, you know Beach Read is like one of my favorite books of all time. It was the first romance that I really loved. You know, and I have somehow not read People We Meet on Vacation. My sister has. She's read both of them. I have not. I will look it up before I actually film the intro to the actual vlog. But, if I remember properly, I think she liked this one more. I think she once described to me that the way it's written, or something about the characters, is different from the first one, which is probably why, if you didn't like that one, you like this one. If you did like this one, you didn't like, Beach Read. There we go. I can't think of words anymore. And whatnot. I think she said that. Who knows anymore? It was a long time ago. But basically, yeah, I haven't read this yet. And the only reason I've held back this whole entire year, because I knew I was going to read it for this vlog. So it's finally happening. I am going to read this summer romance in November. You know what? Most of these are fantasy, so honestly, I'm fine with that. And yeah, if I remember the synopses properly, it's about two ex-friends, who used to go on vacations a lot together or something like that. And, then something happened one summer ago, very long ago, and that kind of ruined their whole entire dynamic. So now they don't do it anymore, but now, opportunity shows up. They go on vacation again, together, and I assume some spice happens because it's a romance. So, you know, we're here for it. And I'm very excited to finally read it. It's been out since April 2021 is the book of month for this. Of course, it's been over a year. I love that for me. And then here's the two that like I moved around. I moved around a bunch of these. For the orange one, And eventually I decided to put these two in instead. The first one being our Iron Widow. I am sorry if I pronounced the author's name wrong. I know, I'm pretty sure they go they them pronouns, but I know I cannot pronounce words ever. So Ziran J Zhao. That's my best guess, okay? I know it is a fantasy. I know the cover for the sequel just came out. Like they just released the cover this past weekend, I think, maybe, possibly, maybe Monday. I don't know. I know I saw the author, like I see their TikToks a lot, and they showed it on there. I think it may be gay. I know a lot of people on BookTube have really loved it, and they told me to go ahead and just go read it, go for it, have a good time. So I'm going to. I'm ready. I'm here for it. And I'm very excited for it. And I honestly know almost nothing about it by this point, because a lot of these lists I may have made like a year ago, and so now I don't remember them, okay? We don't need to talk about it. Then the second one that had been switched out, who I also don't remember like anything about, but I also think it's a fantasy, is She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. If I remember, this cover has like yellow in it too. But like I asked people, it's a similar thing with The Bookish Life of Nina Hill, where like I asked people and they were like, nah, it counts as orange, use it. Because I'm colorblind. So, like I know Bookish Life of Nina Hill has like blue on it, but they were like, it's mostly orange, go for it. And then for She Who Became the Sun, I'm pretty sure there's yellow, but it may just be a brighter orange. I can't tell, okay? They look the same. So I brought it up to people and they were like, nah, it's orange, use it. So it's a fantasy. I know BookTube people loved it, and they told me to go ahead and put it on the list. Yeah, can you see the connection? I think it was actually the same person who told me to read them. So like, you know, that's fun. And then the last one is one that I think I was supposed to read like in high school that I never did, which is like rare for me. But it wasn't technically official assigned reading, so that's fine. It is also a classic, which is great for my needing to read 12 classics, or wanting to read 12 classics by the end of the year. And also, Bestie, my best friend, a person who does not normally read, has read it, I think this year. And she really enjoyed it. And she told me to read it. And it was already part of the list. And then I was like, well, I'll make it an official thing, so like I for sure read it. And that is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. We've talked about how I can't pronounce things. It's fine. I'm pretty sure my mom at one point did buy this book for me, because even though it wasn't assigned reading, we were supposed to read it in high school. I think it was 9th grade. But I never did, and I don't know where it is, so I'll have to get the ebook for it. But yeah, Bestie loved it. If I remember properly, it's pretty short, and I think it may also be a fantasy, or has fantasy elements. I don't know. But you know, I'm down. It seems like something different from most of the classics I read, so we love that for me. And now, that is it. That is the last one. That's the last of the 11 books I have planned for November. What was this? TBR Complete Chaos? Yes, because do I even remember how to film anymore? But thank you for coming to this video in which I talk about books for 20 minutes, and honestly, I don't know what else to say except to end this off and tell you that all videos mentioned were linked below, including the playlist for the monochromatic vlog series, as well as the weekend vlog series, and also the first book in the Second Chances video series I'm doing. It's not really a series. It's not getting its own playlist. It's just 2 videos. But yeah, all those will be linked below, so fun. And also my Instagram, my Storygraph, my Goodreads. I do post reviews on my Instagram, as well as when I rate books for vlogs before the video goes up, so that's fun if you want to see those, as well as favorites of every month and a bunch of other things like book trackers. There's a bunch of things I do on there, and then normal, like what I'm actually reading day by day on my Goodreads and Storygraph, as well as the same reviews. So yes, all that is linked below. Thank you for coming to this very interesting time. It's gonna be very interesting to edit it. We'll see how this goes. And we'll see you in the next one, which will probably be based off of when I plan to upload this, my October wrap up, if I did time this right.